are poised to be the next big innovation replacing fuel in automobiles and consequently controlling climate change around the globe. Looking ahead to a fossil-free future looks like, with renewable energy scaling new heights every day and most countries adapting the EV technology as well. It will be reasonable to say the times have come where we can look at affordable power and transport, which we and are one of the prerequisites in today's fast-paced world. For the EVs to run smoothly on our roads, governments need to facilitate the production of the EVs. Batteries and charging stations need to be commissioned along with their respective management, which will need recurrent innovation, research, and development. Yes, the entire world is trying their hands in sustainable EVs, but it's not a rosy picture ahead. It's cost, shortage in chips, large-scale procurement of lithium-ion batteries, its shorter driving range, upscaling charging infrastructure, supply chain bottlenecks are some of the growing initial concerns around the business. Going ahead, there will be further mountains to scale and new resolutions to achieve as we delve deeper into EV production and distribution. However, the answer to this convert all the negatives above to positive by fine-tuning new innovations, streamlining your supply chains, more stress on qualitative technology, and of course, ample resource and favorable policies to increase production of chips and batteries. Today, we have a room full of industry professionals who have gathered to address the challenges and propose solutions to embark us on a journey of better future for our coming generation. With this, on behalf of Manufacturing Today India magazine from the House of ITP Media India and our partner, SAP, I extend a warm welcome to all who have joined us for this insightful evening.
Let me give you a little bit an overview about the intelligent enterprise for automotive in light of the electromobility and everything, what's the dawn actually on bringing this next generation of electric cars to the road and what we foresee from a strategy group and of course also from a product management side from SAP. As mentioned before, I'm leading the automotive industry at SAP entirely. So my group and my organization is responsible on the one hand side for the entire strategy. We work very closely with all the industry associations, the key partners, the customers from OEMs to the end tiers. And on the other side, of course, we're responsible for the product portfolio and the solution portfolio at SAP for automotive and future mobility. So by saying that, and just give you a little bit of a glimpse of, okay, going on in the industry, and we do this on a regular basis. The last 2.5 years for automotive, they were so disruptive and so fundamental changing. I think we all can agree of that our industry is in a huge shakeup. No? And everything what we knew for the last almost 50 to 60 years in optimizing our processes and the way how automotive business is done is actually pretty much, on evaluation and redesign. And of course, electromobility is one of the key driving factors besides autonomous driving, connected car platforms, and also maybe future way of consuming mobility. The electric vehicle and the technology around the electric vehicle is the fundamental game changer to another industry. And if you look closely actually about what's the outcome or the impact of the entire industry, one thing is very, very remarkable, and I'm explicitly don't exclude any of the companies around or along the value chain of automotive. Every of these companies are actually facing a challenge where you either been disrupted in running a very profitable business with very traditional and classical automotive processes, which, let's be honest, they will also be there for a long more times at the end, because the way how a car is designed, produced, assembled, and maybe also dispatched through the logistic chain will be the same. While at the same time, of course, we're running at this era of disrupting into a new, agile, and more sustainable mobility world. So by saying this run and disrupt for all of the companies, it's pretty clear that electromobility has triggered, we call it a couple of 4 or 5 big strategic priorities, where all of companies, what we currently see in the industry, are all about. Big investments and big innovations are going on in these areas. And at the end, of course, also huge transformational aspects, especially in the IT sector, is running and is coming alongside. By saying that, on the left-hand side, you see the area of customer centricity. For sure, this is something what all of the big OEMs, but also, I mean, the suppliers are tackling in here. And if we're talking about setting up new business models and new customer-centric interaction points, was very the next one, anything as a service. Probably 1-2 years ago, I would have told it mobility services. Yes, definitely something what our customers and everybody is looking for, establishing new revenue streams and looking into flexible models, how to provide sustainable mobility to the market. Good example here, for example, BrightDrop, one of the daughter companies of GM, setting up a whole new business in providing e-trucks as a service, not as a sales model, combined also with the logistic last mile delivery service, something what's clearly going together with it. Next one, of course, we all talk about connectivity of products and the connectivity of car. It's not actually rocket science anymore, but if you're looking in optimizing the fleets and everything what is in the center of this next generation of electric vehicles, it's very important that we streamline and connect all the products around and the vehicles in one simple process. Moreover, resilience of supply chains and smart manufacturing. We all know that there is still a lot of value potential to be gained. And everything what we have done over the last 20 years by establishing peer-to-peer relationships, it's currently also a little bit in shakeup. We all agree on all the disruptions, what we see for the semiconductor crisis, the raw material shortages, and so on and so forth. These are really the outcomes of, hey, we can do better on the supply chain. And even we can broaden the supply chain, let's call it to the value chain end to end, and move sustainable from an end-tier mill and mining company all the way up to the battery and the assembled car, which is then consuming the battery, and so on and so forth. Last but not least, the biggest topic, and of course, one which is very, very close to all of our hearts, topic around sustainability and circular economy. It's very obvious for an entire industry that our industry needs to be committed to the Climate Act and all the sustainable efforts an entire industry is currently driving. And if we're talking about topics like CO2 carbon footprint tracking, it doesn't stop only about measuring carbon footprint within a company. No, we want to establish an entire end-to-end carbon footprint tracking from the fully assembled car all the way down to the raw material and even further to the recycler at the end of the life cycle. So with these 4 or 5 strategic priorities, SAP is always committed to take these strategic priorities and put them on top of the value chain of automotive. So starting from R&D over manufacturing, sales, aftermarket services, and mobility services, and is looking closely together with the industry. What does the industry need? And a couple of things are very remarkable here, that the capabilities, what an entire automotive industry is now needed, is very different what we've done 20 years ago. I hope we can all agree of that an end-to-end battery lifecycle management needs to look a little bit different than, managing a complete drivetrain from a classical combustion engine, or how we actually deal with multi-level demand and capacity planning to react better on the chip shortage and the semiconductor crisis. And at the end, of course, also how we at the end of the life cycle consume, for example, energy. How do we want to spend our resources and how we want to dispatch our energy into the vehicles and also back in the charging stations? This is something what SAP is looking for and putting it in the framework. And I'm very happy that SAP is very committed with its automotive strategy, that we're taking these business requirements and business capabilities and assemble them into our strategic framework and the platforms from SAP called the Intelligent Sustainable Enterprise. By saying that, SAP is operating on 3 major tech platforms. One, the business technology platform, where a lot of our capabilities, for example, from a technical perspective, either if it's on machine learning, on AI, or from integration services, or even from partner developed applications are going in. It's the first big layer. Second, in the middle, we are facing actually the whole platform about our suite, the enterprise resource planning with the lines of business solutions around spend, human capital management, customer relationship management, and so on and so forth. And we're still pushing forward of developing and putting this next generation automotive processes in the platform. And last but not least, on the top layer, you also see that SAP, we're not stopping there in just, taking the processes and deploying them on platforms. We also make them better step by step and analyzing logically over business process optimization along the complete value chain, which processes can be streamlined. And it doesn't matter if it's in R&D, manufacturing, supply chain, or the end-to-end mobility. So by saying that, of course, we can go now into an entire era of different portfolio, but 2 or 3 remarkable solutions where I would like to give you a little bit of a glimpse on what SAP is doing. It's the whole portfolio of SAP's Industry Cloud, where at the end, and you see it in the center, SAP has launched a couple of solutions where we say, this is very compelling to the market, but also in contributing how we can change and contribute to entire industry. One, I mentioned it before, the whole solution around circular battery management, where we address an entire design to operate process from the raw material where you source the first lithium and you design the first cells of a battery going to the pack and then, of course, into the car, and even beyond into the dismantling and reusage of the components of the battery. This is the way we need to think forward, and we believe we can also contribute the most with digital solutions actually from our side. Second, on the right-hand side, you see there something mentioned around e-mobility as itself. Yes, we also addressed one of the core critical problems, and I will come to that in a minute in a detail also, everything around charging infrastructure. Let's be blunt here and say, okay, if we're really keeping up the pace, and especially also keeping up the pace here in Europe of deploying and adopting electric cars, we're going to have to face a much bigger issue on how do we actually charge and manage the entire infrastructure? How do we manage load balancing? If we're looking into left and right of different load systems, do we always want to have at maximum energy waste and maximum energy storage all the companies and all the cars charged? Or do we want to have better it? And also, do we want to make the processes better into this area? So looking into these couple of different areas, this is where we said SAP is investing, providing this next generation solutions for the electromobility industry and providing also new processes which will deliver more benefits from SAP and partner ecosystem. Last but not least, I also will leave you a little bit with an impulse around business networks and industry networks, because one thing is also very clear from our perspective. If we really think end-to-end in the electromobility space and looking in these areas of sustainability, supply chain resilience, but also end-to-end management of these different areas, we clearly will find out that these are not processes which can be managed from one company. All these processes need to be multi-tier. They always start as an N-tier small and middle segment supplier, and they are not ending at the OEMs or at the original car manufacturer. It also ends at the recycler. So focusing here on different solutions and different assets, for example, for demand and capacity management over multi-tier supply chain, or parts traceability, where you're able to track down a car or a battery component from the fully assembled car all the way down to the raw material. This is the set where SAP is providing insights with the Industry Business Network initiative, what we're doing. And one specific initiative, which is leading me also on, okay, how we're elevating and contributing to the industry, and SAP is also committed to work together with the industry, is one initiative, what we have called off almost 1.5 years ago now, an initiative called Catena X. It's a complete new industry alliance where SAP is working together on eye level with many, many partners of the industries, from the big OEMs, the suppliers, but also cross-industry from chemical companies or mill and mining companies, to work exactly out this automotive network and establish this next generation of industry processes for an entire value generation. We were super happy that we launched actually this initiative exactly 1 year ago, and we got a first set of 28 companies together who are actively developing the digital capabilities. What does it need to have an electric car vehicle digital twin end-to-end, for example, along the complete value chain? And on the other side, these companies are also committed together with us on, hey, how do we really measure now a carbon footprint end to end in the scope 3 of not only for a company by itself, for a vehicle end to end and even beyond the recyclers. I'm pretty sure, I mean, this initiative have stumbled already across your way, but if not, you will hear over the next months more and more, because Catena-X is a very ambitious project globally from the entire automotive industry, fostering and boosting our electro-mobility initiatives to the next level. Last but not least, 2-3 examples I would leave you around, okay, how such a transformation could look like. On the one hand side, one of the big ones, what we just transformed here around in Germany, of course, Volkswagen, one of the big automotive customers of SAP in here, but it's really also at the heart that it's not a rocket science also to transfer a complete electromobility production into our flagship with S/4HANA and provide all the capabilities which are required in that area. So that's doable and also manageable, of course, in a very slight and efficient way. While on the other side, and this is also one thing what is always close to our heart, we are here to drive innovations and we are here to commit on innovations together with you. And as I said before, SAP for e-mobility, the whole suite around managing intelligent charging infrastructure, this is really close to our heart. Because the one thing what I can tell you, SAP by itself, we are very committed to the acts of the sustainability agenda of the UN. And of course, SAP is also committed on delivering the electrification into our own fleet. We are running here, for example, in Germany, one of the biggest company car fleets, and we are fully committed by 2025 to only order electric cars into this fleet anymore. So by saying that, as I mentioned it before, the challenges are also here with us. We need to deploy thousands of charging stations into our parking garages at home and our employees. And at the same time, we're also very clear and focused that we don't want to charge all these cars with the fully load at the same time. SAP, we developed here together with the industry and the fleet associations and different partners, a whole end-to-end solution about an intelligent charging algorithm and a charging platform which handles your load balancing, maintain your charging stations, and also get insights into the cars. And you also see a snapshot of a couple of customers. So by that, I come to the conclusion, okay, automotive is under huge transformation. You see, of course, SAP is still committed to contribute, and we're super excited also to work together with you. And especially if I'm looking into the Indian market, it's such an impulse and good market where we could collaborate and also leverage and drive synergies together, where we from SAP, of course, want to help and support you. And as we said before, we're not here from the beginning and not from as a new player. I mean, at the end, all of our customers are running on a very, very rich stack of SAP solutions and platforms there. But one thing is very important for us, that we will not stop co-innovating with you as customers or partners. We are very committed to deliver this next generation of automotive industry capabilities together with you. It cannot be only from one side or a couple of sides. We always do this together within a complete ecosystem. We embed pre-configured best practices into our platforms and roll them out to the market. And last but not least, we are working very, very closely with the partner ecosystem, and extensible solutions and platforms are accessible across the market. And together with, on the right-hand side, a set of customer highlights, which we just, took live in 2021. I think together we are on a good track of transforming the industry into a future of a sustainable electromobility. So, and with that, I would say thanks. It's been a pleasure, of course, to share the insights. Any questions or anything upfront, always welcome. If you are interested in follow-ups with me or the organization from SAP, please feel free to reach out. If anything else, I would hand over to the next speaker. Thank you all and have fun for the day. Greetings from Germany.